Good afternoon on the Empty Skull Ranch. Today we have a special guest for you, a newcomer on the ranch, if you will. We have the MSAR STG556, fourth generation. Alright guys, for your consideration today for my showing pleasure, we have, don't mind the wind, it is very windy out here, and yes, I don't have a mic anymore, that's a long story, but anyway, where we left off, I have it is not an AUG AUG, it is not a Steyr. This is the Microtech Small Arms Research MSAR STG556, and I know, this had its pitfalls, it had its various malfortunes during its early developmental stages, but that was generation 1, generation 1.5. A couple issues with it. I mean, some of them were feed ramp related. I know they had some other such related problems with just with reliability. Some of the parts were failing. It wasn't quite, it was in its early stages. They wanted to clone, or kind of update, should we say, update the aging AUG pattern. Now the Steyr AUG was in production, geez, it was pioneered back in the 60s and adopted in military service in 1977. So you figure, after such an illustrious career being used as a service arm, some of the stuff that was cutting edge back then may not be so cutting edge now. I know as they kind of made their way towards stateside, they were a very popular piece until the assault weapons ban. And then they were very hard to come across. They were still highly desirable. So we had this guy burst up on the scene at some point in there with their rendition of the AUG. And so Microtech makes knives. From what I understand, I do not have a Microtech knife, but I've heard that they are decent type of tactical knives, and which I'm kind of trying to see if I can branch off into the tactical knives myself with the Empty Skull Forge there, if you know what I mean. Anyway, that's a video for another day. Anyway, getting back on topic. So they started producing the MSAR STG556. So like I said earlier, the first few generations were fraught with peril, and they changed a few things here. I'm just going to give you the Cliff Notes version. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but basically give you the lowdown. And so they changed a few things. They were chambered in the 5.56 round. This will take 5.56 and 2.23. And I know that they will accept the Steyr AUG AUG mags, as well as the MSAR mags. And as a matter of fact, our friends at Monadnock Firearms were very kind, very kind. I definitely can't say enough good things about these guys. I know. Every time I mention them, it's a shameless plug. I can't help it. I like going there. I like these guys. I like their shop. I like what they stand for. I like every bit of it. Going there is like a little vacation for me. It is a good feeling to step inside a place where you know you got like-minded buddies that know exactly what you're talking about, even if it's not gun related, if you know what I mean. Anyway, they were kind enough to throw in a Steyr 30 round AUG mag right here. So definitely going to keep the packaging around, you know, the Steyr actual brand. But anyway, going back to, and we'll get to this guy in a little bit. But so as the evolution of this, the MSAR STG556 came along, by the time generation 4 was kind of reached, a lot of those pitfalls had been ironed out. And I gotta say, from what I've read, customer service on their end was very accommodating, so to speak, to the point where it is almost impossible, if you go into a gun shop now, to find an earlier generation MSAR STG to get a pre-recall STG. It's not gonna happen. When these problems happen, i.e. the feed ramps and all these other issues, they were very quick to recall their rifles and very quick to fix the problems, and basically in an attempt to make everybody happy. So therefore, you will not find a pre-recall STG on the shelf. So, or you're going to be hard pressed to anyway. So anyway, as you can see with this guy right here, it has your charging handle located on the left side of the firearm, and as you pull it back, it we already had the bolt locked to the rear. So let's pull this guy out of here and hit the forward assist, just like on an AR platform. Sends a bolt home. The charging handle on that side, the left side, easy to handle, slides back with ease. And so you'll also notice it's got the pick rail on the top, pick rail for optics. Some of these came with their telescopic sights. But you could get them with this pick rail on top of it, so you could put an optic of your choice on top of it, because I know sometimes you want something a little different than what they had to offer. So which I'm not saying anything bad about it, but you also got this vertical foregrip right here that if you slide it down, flip it up, whichever way you just be careful, mindful, because the gas exits through this piston on the right hand side of the firearm. So, and you also got this receiver, from what I understand, it's aircraft aluminum with baked on enamel paint. So flip down the foregrip. That's the other thing, is the earlier models had a forward assist. They got rid of that on their later generations. As for the actual AUG, kind of an interesting trigger system it had on it. It had the select fire, it had the full auto 3-round burst and semi, but it was dictated by how far your trigger pull went. So kind of an interesting system that they had, you know, the always thinking over there, always thinking, trying to come up with something new and innovative. But but as far as this guy goes, regular semi-automatic action, you can block off the ejection port with this guy right here. You pull up both ends, twist it, and then you can put it on this side, change out the bolt carrier so that it ejects the other way. But right now it's set in the right-handed configuration, and so you can say this is a fiberglass impregnated polymer stock. Very, very, very hardy stock on this guy, and a generous room on this butt plate right here. So as you know, 16-inch barrel comes all the way back here. So your sear and your trigger mechanism are right back here, and your trigger, it uses an operating rod that goes right by where the magazine is located to actuate your sear on the back end. You can hear it as it's audible as you're lining up, and you got your cheek weld going. You can kind of hear that action going on back there. So as for the optic, that is the Holosun red dot holographic sight, reflex sight, whatever you want to call it. But it's got your solar panels right here. I don't know if you can see that, but this guy is a superb sight. I tell you, it's very reminiscent of an EOTech sight. And I've used an EOTech before, and I've now used this guy. And I gotta tell you, very similar experience. Obviously, EOTechs are what they are. There's a reason they cost what they do. It's a true holographic sight. So I've been told if you lose or something happens to your screen inside of the shroud, you still have your reticle, because it's a true holographic reticle. This one still relies on the projection on the screen inside there, the glass. So that being said, it still is your holographic sight experience, even if it's not a hologram. But it still does what a holographic sight does. Both eyes open aiming. Very, very quick target acquisition. Definitely those guys down there, they fixed me up with this optic, and you know, went through a couple of them, and kind of looking at what would work the best on this, and that's what I came up with. And it looks mighty nice on there too, might I add. It's very sleek, it's not too big, it's not clunky, it's not in the way. It just fits, it looks nice, and I tell you, it just kind of completes the look of the whole rifle. Kind of went outside of my comfort zone on this one. I'm very, very partial to wood and steel. I love the wood and steel. Dustier, the better. The mil-serps, bolt actions, I love them. But this guy, kind of really going out of my comfort zone on this. And you know what? Let's throw the Steyr mag in there just to give it a accurate representation with the actual Steyr mag. As you notice, very similar in construction. Honeycomb on both of them, or cross-checking, whatever you want to call that. But I'm going to throw this in there for now. You know, I don't know why it was shrieking going in there. I think the bag was shrieking, accepting an MSAR mag instead of a Steyr mag. But anyway, let's throw that in there. Oh, look at that color contrast. That is nice. That looks real nice, I tell you. Like I said, very grateful to those guys. I gotta say, can't say enough good about the guys at Monadnock. I really can't. And one of these days we are going to have a little video of going to visit them down there, and then you can see the guys behind the raving. And anyhow, like the look of that. That Steyr mag fits in there without issues. Not loose, not rattly, not weird. It's but doesn't get in the way. It's nice. I gotta say, I'm glad I ventured outside of my comfort zone on something like this, because this is the most futuristic. Granted, it was designed back in the 60s and in service in the 70s, but still, it looks like a space gun. Come on, it looks like a space gun. With my collection of dusty old oldies, this guy looks very modern. Anyway, let's send some rounds downrange, and like I said, I gave you the Cliff Notes version of this. AUG, designed in the 60s, in service 1977. You know, what can I say? MSAR came along and during the ban years created a clone or much needed upgrades to an aging platform. Didn't get it right off the rip. Put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, so a lot of people didn't really like this after noticing the first few editions had these issues. It's kind of like what Ford did back in 1959 when they introduced the Selecto speed transmission for their tractors. Great idea, grandfather of shuttle shift. We all use shuttle shift in major farm tractors. Selecto speed was there first, man. But when it came upon the scene, there was a lot of issues with it. Guys, farmers didn't like it because the first few years of it sucked. Absolutely sucked. But by 1965 on, hell of a great transmission. Just like this, Gen 4 comes around, hell of a nice rifle. So it seems at first. Let's take it down range and see how it goes. All right, guys, come with me. All right, let's see what we can get done with some lead down range with this guy. I got one of the MSAR mags right here, loaded up with 42 rounds, and I got a bit of a target inhabited environment out there. I got some bottles, I got some cans, I got a silhouette, I got some a dinner plate even, a dinner plate that was present. Fine fancy dining here, yes, quite. Anyway, let's load up this mag. Still getting used to the whole bullpup thing. The first bullpup I got in my collection, and let's see how it does. This will determine if I continue picking up more of these guys in this type of configuration. So as we earlier talked about, always safety is paramount. Always keep muzzle pointed in a safe direction, not crossing paths with anything you don't wish to destroy. So this optical wakes up just by touching one of the buttons. Therefore, there we go. We got a reticle. Oh yeah, I see it. It's right there. So, and as I said before too, pulled it out of the box. When I picked it up at Monadnock, they had thrown it on there for me before I walked out the door, and just affixed it. And I tell you, I haven't adjusted anything. I took a few shots earlier, and right on. So let's see if we can continue that type of mojo on down the range. All right, I'm gonna go back. back a few paces and see what we can do about these targets. Alrighty. Fire in the hole. Pick off some of those cans. Alright. The one on the box. Nice. Further bottles. One up on top of the tire rack. Nice. On the barrel. We got a popper. Well, firearms and safe, pointed downrange. I gotta say, wow, this is nice. This is real nice. Seems like whatever you put that sight on, it hits. All you gotta do is squeeze the trigger. And that trigger, the pull for a bullpup, from what I understand, I have a very limited experience with this platform, but most of the ones I've picked up and handled have a very hard and long trigger pull. I know. Anyhow, this one seems to be a nice crisp trigger. It is a longer trigger because of the mechanism, as we explained earlier, that goes by the magwell and triggers the sear on the back, but it's not a foreboding trigger. It feels good. It makes sense for the platform. And it's a fun gun to shoot. I tell you, that combined with this optic, it's a winning combo. Gonna mop up some of the remaining dead wood down there. Safety is in a nice spot right there. Feels like you can just pull it right up. Camera's pointed towards me. But immediate target acquisition. Let's see, there's a lingerer right there. Pecan. Dinner plate. All right. Well, we got a couple, maybe another round or two. Let's see if we can knock off that empty bottle on top of the barrel. There's no more liquid in that 2 liter, so it's not really reactive. Anyhow, just kind of had fun just spraying some rounds, just getting a feel for how the recoil is, and love this sight. Absolutely love this sight. That holographic, both eyes open, aiming, I mean, that's right up my alley. Ever since I've been a kid, I tend to aim with both eyes open. It's just something I do, in iron sights alike. But that being said, this type of optic, EOTech, I've used one of those before, and what a nice optic that is. But as far as the Holosun goes, awesome optic. It's got the auto darkening, so if you're in a low light situation, the reticle responds, and if you're in a high lit situation where the sun's shining down, all of a sudden the reticle will illuminate a few shades higher so that you can see the contrast against your target. And really, what more can you ask for? And if you store it, it will shut off, and then you can wake it back up either by shaking it awake, or if you have shut it off, just hit any one of those buttons and the thing wakes right up. So if you gotta grab it and go in a high stress situation, well, you know, no matter what you hit, it's gonna turn your optic on. And I have no doubt that this optic would stand up to any type of situation that would arise that you would need to use such an optic. So either way, the MSAR STG556, this guy, I gotta tell you, by the 4th generation, I haven't gotten to see what the first generations were like, but this 4th generation version of it, what an awesome gun. I'm so glad I took a little bit of a stroll outside of my comfort zone to do something a little bit different rather than wood and steel, which is what I'm used to. And I gotta say, this guy tucks right up where you want it, and it's ready right there. If you're in a tight situation, you can fit through doorways, you can fit through what have you. Sits right here, you don't even notice the brass coming out next to you. It's a comfortable shooter, and that vertical foregrip works great to choke up on, and if you need to, bring it forward like that. There's options. This guy's got options. It's got a rail, space for a magnifier behind this optic, giving me some ideas. I see a magnifier in this guy's future. So I like the charging handle where it is. Rip it back, let it fly. Everything's where you need it to be. I gotta say, I'm glad that I started with the 4th generation rather than seeing the pitfalls of the 1st generations. And because the product I got right here, I am happy I spent the grand on it. I'm happy that the guys at Monadnock were more than happy to show me this guy when I went in there, and I just said, hey, let me see that AUG looking rifle. And I know AUG, not AUG, but when I saw it on the shelf, there was something that drew me to it, and immediately, you know, knowledgeable on the topic. Everybody there kind of chipped in their 2 cents on, you know, this guy here, and you know, when I picked out the optic for it, we kind of discussed different avenues, and of course, Mrs. Empty Skull was with me, and she particularly liked this one, so you know what that meant. I got that one. So, anyhow, in closing, I want to say another resounding 2 thumbs up from the Empty Skull Ranch. Love it, love it. Look forward to getting more targets down range for this guy to explore. This guy, you're gonna see it come out on the ranch for future videos time and time again. I am very happy with this gun. Like it. All right, guys, see you next time on the Empty Skull Ranch.